man is back.
Oh, okay, boys. Oh my gosh, the man got that stuff. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have the leopard. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But look at that, my God.
This is your boy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy, Dash the True Inferno. Back at it with another Call of Duty Black Ops 7 commentary video gameplay for you guys. And oh, Sony. Y'all keep messing up or coming up with these stupid ideas. And for some strange reason, y'all constantly are making the UK test tube dummies, or like, what's the term? It's not test tube dummies. It's like, I guess it's like something. I don't recall what the term is. I guess it's like experimental rats. That I guess we could go with that, because this is the second scenario where Sony did something stupid involving PlayStation, and they launched it out in the UK. So remember, or really in Europe somewhere, because remember, after Sony raised the price of the PlayStation 5s, all their PlayStation 5s that is, out in Europe, I don't remember if it was all over Europe or a certain country in Europe, but nevertheless, they lowered the memory storage in the PlayStation 5s after raising the prices. They did that out in Europe somewhere. Either it was in a country in Europe or the entire Europe. I don't remember off the top of my head. I remember doing a video on it, but I don't remember the exact location. Well, they're doing it again. They're doing something stupid again, and it's involved a country in Europe. This time it's involving the UK. So what am I talking about? You read the title of this video, so you should know what I'm talking about. Okay, Kotaku.com have an article. It's called PlayStation have launched a way to rent a PlayStation 5 and it's gross. And then the subtitle is, why not pay the same price for over 3 years and then not own the console at the end? So this was an article done by John Walker, and it was published on February the 13th of this year. So let's talk about this real quick. So what's going on here? So the PlayStation in the UK had paired up with a company called Raylo to offer rental options for a huge range of its hardware. For a racking £24.49, I think that's pound, or $33 a month, you can get a 1 terabyte PlayStation 5 you don't own, or make that £28.49 or $39 if you want a second controller with that. Called PlayStation Flex. It's ports to lease out PlayStation 5s and accessories starting at £9.95 per month, deliberately aimed at customers who aren't able or willing to pay the full price up front. But the reality is much more grim. So here's a tweet that PlayStation UK put out. Join your friends on PlayStation 5 with Flex. Lease a PS5 digital edition console starting at £9.95 per month for a limited time only. And then they give you a link to do that. Getting back to the article. The starting at £9.95 per month claims in the promotional materials is extremely misleading. This is the price for the bizarre Europe only 825 gigabytes digital edition of the PlayStation 5. Remember what I said? They lowered the memory that you would get in the PlayStation 5. That's the one. That's the one right there. Let's move on. Roughly working out to $13.50 a month. But crucially, only at that rate if you commit to a 36-month plan from which it is very difficult to opt out. In reality, to rent that lowest tier console for a month without a contract will cost you £19.49 or $26.50, more than twice as much as the implied price. For clarity, let's focus on the 1 terabyte standard PlayStation 5, which purports on the front page of the store to be available for £11.59 a month or $16. But for a single month will actually cost you £24.49 or $33 per month. The same console to buy and own outright costs £479.99 or $654 with tax included in that figure. It's not even cost that much out here, by the way. But let's move on. If you sign up to that 36-month, that 3-year commitment, which you cannot cancel at the it's just so funny. So let me see that. That's just so funny. That's just so funny. Where I'm at. Okay. Which you cannot cancel At the cheapest price, this will cost you a total of 417 and 24 pounds. So maybe a bargain, right? That 60 pounds cheaper than buying it day one, except no, because at the end of those 3 years, you spent your 418 pounds on owning nothing. You have to give it back. You have to give the PS5 back. The person who bought it for a not dissimilar price 3 years ago gets, most importantly, to keep it, and also have the option of reselling it to make back a chunk of their cash. This situation obviously gets considerably worse if you went the PS5 for a shorter period of time. If you were unable to commit beyond a monthly rate, which of course is the case for many with low incomes looking to find cheaper access to this tech, unable to commit to 12 months contracts, let alone 3-year ones, for the equivalent 3 years, you have to pay out 882 pounds. That's $1,202 for a console you don't even own. Oh, and let's not forget, we did all this math for consoles that come with just one controller. We're that again with a couple of DualSense included, and it's 450 pounds at the cheapest, 1,026 pounds at the monthly rolling rate. That's $1,400 for a console you didn't buy. And just for fun, the PlayStation 5 Pro, $834 to $1,840. Let's talk about if you can't keep up payments. This becomes more insidious when you note the ease which these contracts can be entered into. Sony store states that applying for the deal takes 60 seconds. That's the quote, 60 seconds. And that, here's another quote, we only do a soft credit check and applying has no impact on your credit file, end quote. Which is to say, it's allow you to sign up to a long-term contract costing hundreds of pounds without checking if you can afford it. There is nothing mentioned on the store pages for what happens if you're unable to keep up your payments years after making the commitment. And the site's AI assistant fought hard against telling me this, but eventually revealed that canceling early requires having paid a minimum of 18 months of charges, plus that month and the next. So if you signed up for 2 years but needed to cancel after 12 months, you would need to pay another 8 months worth of charges to get out of that contract. What happens if you can't? It won't tell me. I'm waiting on a human response. Renting electronics was once a peculiarly popular phenomenon in the UK, which 1970s retailers like Radio Rentals and Grenada renting out color TVs and washing machines to those who couldn't afford to buy them outright. And of course, those people would go on to spend far more in monthly payments than the item would have cost up front. There were another resurgence of this model, but far more predatory. In the 2010s, with companies like Bright House working on a rent-to-own model, preying on those with the lowest income, designed to trick customers into spending 5 times the real price, although people did at least get to keep the product. The company collapsed in 2020 under the weight of its own cruelty, and after it was founded to have deliberately sold contracts to those who couldn't afford them. Raylo pushes its rental scheme as a, quote, circular economy, end quote, claiming renting tech is in some ways more sustainable and environmentally friendly, as was declared during its partnership with Dyson last year. Meanwhile, the company has rather embraced its own model by taking on board more than 180 million pounds of debt and equity funding in the last few years, all with a view to launching in the US later this year. Okay, that's the end of the article. So, this is funny. This is funny. Like I said, I don't recall which country did that whole 825 gig fiasco, but I'm not sure if it was a specific country or if it was all throughout Europe. It looked like it was all throughout Europe. But Europe, and especially the UK, y'all gotta stand up. Y'all gotta stand up. Y'all gotta speak out on this nonsense that Sony is like testing on y'all. Y'all gotta stop this. Y'all gotta stop this. Y'all cannot accept this crap. Y'all cannot go along with this crap because this is out of control. It really, really is. It's really out of control. Because we talking about you renting a system that you cannot own. That's ridiculous. It's straight up ridiculous. There's a lot of things wrong with this scenario. Because here's my thing. If you're even thinking about resorting to renting a system, I don't care if you can keep it or not. If you are considering renting a system Your priorities are off. That's the first thing. Your priorities are off because, and I said this in my last video, and I'm gonna say it again here. It is too late to get a PlayStation 5. It is too late. Y'all waited 2 to 3 years, way too late to get a PlayStation 5. If y'all wanted the PS5, y'all shouldn't got one 2 to 3 years ago. Now it is too late to get a PlayStation 5. It's not worth getting a PlayStation 5 Pro. And you know the PlayStation 6 is coming. You know the PlayStation 6 is coming. So why would you get a PlayStation 5? Whether buying it outright or renting it in this case. Why? It make no sense. It really, really make no sense. So that's number one. Number two, can we talk about the fact that we talk about a system that you are renting but you cannot own? Can we just like talk about that? Because that's to me is egregious. That to me is egregious. And then number three, they are trying to hide a lot of information from you. They really, really are. Do have to struggle to find out what happens if you can't afford the monthly payments. And then he's still struggling to find out what happens if you don't make a payment. So they are hiding information from you guys, and it makes no sense. It really, really makes no sense. So, wow. I mean, just wow. So, at the end of the day, don't mess with this. Don't mess with this at all. I don't care how much it costs per month. Like, and it's so misleading because, and again, they trying to offer you. Look, I'm looking at the tweet right now. Let me see if I can blow this picture up real quick so I can actually look at that box. So looking at that box, yeah, it don't say in the tweet or anywhere in font that this box or this PlayStation 5 here is the 825 gigabytes one. It don't say that. You probably think it's the 1 terabyte. It's the 825 gigabytes one. So right off the bat, this is an automatic fail right there. The fact that you're considering renting a system is another fail. Like, don't do it. Your priorities are off. It should be towards somewhere else. It makes no sense to rent a system. So there you go with that. I think this is garbage. I think this is crap. And anybody in the UK, do not, like, I'm letting you know right now, do not take part in this crap. Do not take part in this nonsense. Let them know that this is bullshit and you do not want this to be a thing. Because I don't want to see this crap in America. I do not want to see this crap in Japan. This is bullshit. Do not take part in this. Do not take part in a scenario where you are renting a system and you can't own it at the end. You have to give it back. So keep all of that in mind. Do not mess with this nonsense. And yeah, I'm going to call it a wrap now. So with all that said, y'all know what this is. This is boy New J Gatsby, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all. And I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.